Dr. Jazz.
For doing this in this bizarre circumstances, and
hey, I have time, man.
Yeah.
All I have is time.
Yeah, we all do, right? But I've been listening to your music for quite a long time now. I think I saw you the first time in Mario or here in Jazz Club Satchmo. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
But that's really long time ago, like 2011. I don't know, 13.
It's even before.
Before, right?
Yeah. Now we were playing a concert at Lent.
Lent, yeah, I saw it then as well. Yeah, that was 2:15. Yeah.
And we were late because we had some troubles on the Croatian border with the instruments. I'm not gonna go into that now, but we were late for our concert, and then we did a concert, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
And the organizer asked us to do another gig tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And oh, maybe no. Now I'm mistaken. That was before, and then we did Satchmo. You're right.
Yeah.
Satchmo was 2011 or something. Yeah,
Something like
and
that.
that was great too. That was great. It's a nice club, and it's great.
You used to be, yeah. They closed it, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. No, but I remember because it's such a nice vibe for a band like your band. You know, like it's like incredible. I watched their Bill Evans in that club, you know, with Victor Bailey and Adam Rogers.
Oh,
and it's kind of the same unit, you know, this, and it's just like this fusions. I love it there.
It's a nice stage. It's nice sound.
Yeah.
The audience was great. I remember it. Oh yeah, it's cool.
But speaking of your band, like your last record by the Vasil Hadžimanov band is Lives in Sand, right?
Yeah.
Lines in Sand. And I just wanted to ask you, like, Vasil Hadžimanov band, that's like your main composition vehicle as well, right? And how do your band has been going on for 20 years, right? I think.
Even more.
Or even more.
I don't even know. I mean, I came back from the States in '97, so.
Okay, well, so 22, 23, wow.
Yeah, something like that.
How do you keep a collective like that fresh? You know, I've spoken to many players, like, you know, I played with Paul McCandless from Oregon quite a lot, and they've played together for 40 years. Almost the same people, and you also more or less, I think it's the same line that more or less for 23 years. How do you keep it fresh, like such a?
Well, it's not the same. It's not the same. That's one of the things that it's not intentionally. I didn't change my members intentionally, but things happen.
It happened.
Yeah, you know, people change their minds. They cannot keep up anymore. We live in a part of the world where I mean, and anywhere you go, the jazz fusion, prog, whatever you want to call it, scene is not happening. You know, it's not like you know everyone is. It's so popular that you don't know what to do with the gigs and selling CDs. But here it's particularly hard. You know, the Balkan area is it's tough. So musicians, you know, they want to do the thing they actually like to play, but then they tend to give up and go and do pop music or popular music of some kind and to earn money. I never did such a thing unless I really wanted to play with someone that's from that genre, you know. I mean, but that's different. I never did things because I wanted to just earn cash, you know. It was always music first. So I was lucky in a way to every time that happened, you know, every time someone left the band, there was some other player that was even better for the music, you know. It's amazing because you know where we live, you know. It's not like you have 100 drummers that can play this kind of music, or bass players or guitar players. But in some weird cosmic way, you know, the person that leads, there's another one coming up that's just like it's better in that period and that way of thinking and in a creative way that I was making music. This person was ideal for it. You know what I mean? So that happened a couple of times. Basically we had 3. Now this is 4th drummer already.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
We had 3 or 4 bass player, maybe 2 guitar players, 2 percussion players. So, but some of the members sticked around for
longer time.
From the beginning. Almost.
Yeah. But how is the process within the band? Like, when you write the music, do you usually bring just a sketch? And then you guys kind of do it together, or you usually like, you know, I will return to the trio that you did. Right. I love those trio records, and I saw you're making a new trio records, which I'm happy. But within your band, like, do you like just bring a sketch and then you kind of develop the song together, or do you have like a clear mind? You know, because some of your tunes are really long, and do you sketch it out already before? How is the process for you within this band?
It depends. My favorite way to do it is to actually bring an idea and to work it together. You know.
Oh, okay. Well,
in that way, everyone is involved more. You know, and they gives a part of themselves more than just you know, you have to play this, you have to play that, and But sometimes I really have an idea from start to beginning, and I like it that way, and I want to do it that way. Yeah. More or less, you know. I mean, there's always enough space for everyone individually to do their thing, you know. I mean, that's the whole point of this music, you know. I mean, we are not pop or classical players that write down everything from the start to the end and then play it that way every time the same, you know. Yeah. I even sometimes regret that we have some songs that you cannot stretch, you know. They just sound best this way, and when you play them that way, it's really the best. But you know, if you play them a lot, because we usually play the material before we record it. We kind of feel it on the road, you know. And it's better for the recording than when you secure and you know the thing really up and down, and then you go into the studio and you just record it like you played it all your life. But then there's this other problem, because you play it before the recording, then you wait for the record to come out. You play it during the record is coming out, then the record comes out, then you have to play it to promote it, and then you kind of tend to go like, okay, I'm already sick of this material, and we're about to promote it. So that's why it's good to have songs that have these open sections and parts that you can change and every time, you know, make it different. Yeah. So that's what we're going for 90% of the time, and but that's an important thing is to have everyone involved in the process of creating. You might have an idea, you might have a mood or whatever atmosphere that you're going for, but then when everyone is involved in creating the final solution, they kind of tend to like it more and to make it their own, you know, and it's better for the, you know, 5 minds are usually smarter than just one. But
when you write ideas, right? How do you usually start? Like, do you start like? How do you write? I mean, your creative process. I'm interested in. Like, do you write music that I don't know, you sit down and start with a melody, or does your compositional ideas, do they come from improvising or?
Yeah. Every time is different. I'm basically improvising every time. You know, but I use my computer, and sounds on it are the ones that inspire me. Usually, I can just sit at the piano and start noodling
Start
around,
something. Yeah.
and might not, but some of the songs I come up with is I usually use Omnisphere, the VST platform, and it has so many amazing sounds, and I just start playing around with it, and things come up. It might be a groove, it might be a melody, it might be a harmony, it might be, so it's different every time, and I try to make it different every time. I don't have the same process that I do, but sound is something that inspires me. I mean, interesting, different sounds, creative sounds might make me play in a completely different way and come up with something that I wouldn't usually come up with if I just start playing Rhodes or piano, whatever.
Yeah. Makes sense, yeah. But like, if I just return to Lines in Sand, like, but also before, these days I listened a lot to your music intensely just to get into the vibe, and like you have, which is natural for the Balkan, like you have so many odd meters, right? Like also the new one, Lines in Sand is 15, I think, if I, like Sun Snova, Mr. Moon June, 7, 8, like, but you guys, or you especially when you're improvising, you make it sound so natural. And
Thanks.
Really, it's like, you go over, but then like every now and then, that, okay, we're here. But how did you develop this playing over odd meters?
Well, some of it comes up naturally, I must say. Genes are involved, my father is Macedonian, and I've been playing with the other thing is I've been playing with such great musicians since I was really a kid. Back at Berkeley, I was 19 or 20 when I started playing with Marko Đorđević and Bato Andonov. Those two guys were the first that actually introduced me to odd meters. They're really complicated, I mean, 7/8, 5/8, 9/8 is okay, but 17/8, is that's tough, but I realized almost that natural is to actually listen to the melody and feel the melody. And if you feel the melody, you don't care anymore if it's 17, 25, or 135. You can divide it later on and analyze it and try to see what's happening. But if you feel the melody and you can sing the melody, you can play whatever you want over it. As long as you have the melody inside of you. So that's one of the ways to do it. But the training is, of course, important. And I played with them. I played left-hand bass, just like I did with Dušan. I did that back in 93, 94. I started it. And Marko is amazing drummer that does all this polyrhythms all over it. So you have to keep your stuff really secure, because if you go left or right or up and down, you don't know where the first is anymore.
Yeah, and you're lost.
The Interpol is trying to find the first. And so, and Bato Andonov is an amazing guitar player and an author that you unfortunately haven't heard of, but he's in New York. He's really, really amazing, and we had a trio together. They actually invited me to join their trio, Sveti. That's the original Sveti. So right from the start, I went into fire. It was just like I was really a kid that loved jazz. I was talented. I finished classical music school. Things were promising, but I needed a lot of work, you know, and then I was there, you know, in between these two monsters, you know, right away.
Yeah.
So you better hang on, you know, you better, you know, go for it. You know, there's no time to re-evaluate, think about it, you know, or whatever. So that was the training that was at first, and then after that I played with some ethno world projects with musicians like Alexander Petrov, who was on Dušan's record.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. He's one of those cats that was doing folk music in early age, you know, like traditional folk Macedonian music. Macedonian music, Bulgarian music, you know, it has lots of odd meters. It's just they grew up with it, you know, just like African Americans grew up with funk, hip hop, and jazz,
blues,
and blues. These cats grow up with this, and especially if you play with traditional orchestras and dancing groups that he did. So the way he approaches it, it's so natural, and it's beyond this what I did with Marko and Branko, you know. It's more like intellectual and technically correct and more jazzy. But this is also has the jazz perspective, but it has this foundation in traditional music,
natural,
and it's flowing and it's swinging in a way that I still don't understand it. You know what I mean? Because I might have the genes, I might have the background, family background, and all of that, but I haven't gone through that. You know, I'm listening to that. I'm trying to understand it, but the way they swing, man, the way they do those 11/8, 9/8, they speed up at one point and they slow down, and they do it the same way in every bar. You know, and it's just amazing. The whole orchestra does it, you know, and that's what gives it the groove. That's not shake it, you know, everything is like robotic, you know. It has this motion that's so cool and sexy. So I did that, you know, and I kind of got the knowledge from that or an experience. So that gives me all this background to mess around with my own songs and do it in my way.
Yeah, a lot. But you also play with Teodosi a lot, right? Spaso and Vlatko, who are like.
He's another one.
Who are also masters in.
He's a genius, man. He's amazing. You know, he's playing an instrument that is so hard to get a sound on, you know, because the hole on kaval is a traditional instrument that in Macedonia, in Bulgaria, in Serbia you have it. Ney is something similar they played in Turkey. It's more narrow and dry sounded. Kaval is warm, you know, it has this hiss, but it's it's beautiful instrument. And it has a huge hole that you have to put your mouth on in an angle, perfect angle, just to have a sound, just to have, you know. And then he plays this whatever you want on it, you know, and he has these different sounds, and he's amazing. I mean, I love his playing, and we've been doing gigs together with and albums with Ace, with Alexander, in this Bace quartet setup with another percussion player, Bashar Khalif, who's now actually a big star in France. He has his own project, his own trio with where he sings and plays piano. He comes from an amazing family. Marcel Khalif is a star on Oud. So that was an amazing quartet that we did a couple of albums with, and then I played with Teodosi hundreds of times after that.
Like, but if I just return to your band, like I saw you also did one project with a live album with Binney, David. And he's for me like one of the greatest composers in jazz the last 20 years, and I had the privilege to play with him and tour with him a lot also. And it was so much fun always. Yeah, we did like 2 albums and everything. And
Great.
I just wanted to ask you, how did you meet David, and what did he bring to? How did the dynamic of the band change? Like, what did he bring to the group?
Well, I met David in New York. I lived in New York for a year after I finished Berkeley. I tried to do the New York thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make it. It wasn't a city for me. I mean, it's not like I'm spoiled or I'm not a hard worker or anything. It's just it wasn't happening.
Too much hustle, yeah, and like, yeah, I know what you mean.
It's you know, it's someone cannot live without that city and someone cannot stand it.
Yeah.
I'm something in the middle. I'm not that I hate it, but I just couldn't. So and it's not like I went back home where everything is safe and nice. It's
sure.
It's another story over here. It's a struggle, of course, but I just wanted to live here. So anyways, when I came to Boston, I started living with Gintas Janushonis. He's an amazing drummer that played with Kurt Rosenwinkel and Ursula Rucker and a bunch of other guys. He's a brother of mine, literally. And I, of course, called all my friends that already moved to New York, like Matt Garrison and Marko and all of them. And I got this mad opportunity to record at the studio Sound on Sound. I don't think it exists anymore. It's an amazing studio, really top notch. For 2 days, I got 2 dates to record whatever I want. So I called Gintas, I called Matt, and I asked Matt, man, do you know any sax player that is willing to record for 2 days? But I don't have no budget or cash. Struggling in New York, but if anyone wants to join us, and that can play, and he says there's this new cat in town, David Binney. So I called David. David says, okay, I want to check your stuff out, and then I'll decide. And back at the time, that was '96. I was actually using a sequencer on my Roland XP60 synthesizer, with a display that's this big, but it sounded okay. You can get the picture of what I was trying to do. So he came at our place. I was living with Gintas, and I played the stuff, and he liked it. And we went to the studio, and we actually recorded a couple of songs that I never used. I was thinking about putting it on my first album, but it was so different from the other stuff I did with the band. They were just, it wasn't compatible. How they say? So, anyways, he liked my playing and my approach, and that's when he invited me to join his band. And he had a gig every other Thursday at the Easy Bar. This real small club at the East Village. Jojo Meyer was talking about that club in his documentary. He actually started there with the Nerve, and that's where they kicked off. And then when they got bigger, they moved to bigger clubs. Really, really nice club. And the interesting thing is that I saw Wayne Shorter at the Blue Note maybe a couple of weeks before that gig, and he was playing this electric setup with David Gilmour.
On guitar.
And Ronnie Holmes on drums.
I know that.
Gene Beard on keyboards, and Alfonso Muzon on bass. Or Alfonso Johnson.
Alfonso Johnson, probably.
Alfonso Johnson, one of the bass players that were actually in the Weather Report also. And it was great, of course, and we loved it. So I come to I don't know who's going to be playing, and there's Ronnie Holmes and David Gilmour and Donnie McCaslin and Danny Sadovnik from Screaming Headless Torsos. It was a motherfucker setup, man. I mean, I was just blown away. I was, I've been in New York for maybe 5 months or something like that, and I'm already playing with cats like that. I mean, And he was pretty loose, you know. He had some ideas. He would give us ideas, and we would take it from there. It was basically a jam session. But with those cats, it was, you know. And we played together every other Thursday for months.
Wow.
So and a lot of other musicians joined us, you know, really great musicians. So basically that's where we got introduced, and then we got to play together, and that's after a year I went back home, and we were in touch, sort of, not too much. And 15, 16 years later, I got an offer from the Belgrade Jazz Festival to do something special for a 30-year anniversary of the festival. And I immediately thought of David, and I called him up. And as you know, that was the first time that I actually managed to bring someone from the States. I played with such many great artists, you know, great musicians that are now top-notch, you know. Tony Sanchez, Adam Trijić, the list goes on, Matt Garrison, and so on. I mean, really, really, Chris Cheek, you know, and so on. You know, I always wanted to bring someone here and, you know, do a record and tour, and, you know. So this was my first time, my chance to do it, and I brought him over, and we had 5 gigs. We recorded all 5 of them, and that's how we made the live album. We chose the best, you know, takes from 5 times. Alen Hadžimanov, this amazing sound engineer from Macedonia, recorded it, and we had ourselves a record with David.
Yeah, it's such a cool one, really. It's, you know, because he brings so much.
Yeah, and about the energy and about everything, you know. I mean, it's the New York thing, man. I mean, I'm serious. You know, I might not like to live there, but the musicianship level and the intensity of those players there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And once you have someone, Marko is like that also. You know, once you have him in the band, the level is up there, and it can only go even further. It cannot go down. You know, there's just this level of concentration, of professionalism, of intensity that I'm trying to achieve every time I play, because I've been there and I played with those cats. But it's very hard here to do it. You know, I'm not talking any shit about
but I know what you mean.
Here. I mean, you have amazing musicians here, but there's something about it. I guess it's because there's this huge competition in New York, you know, and every time you get a chance to play, you gotta kick ass, you know, you gotta go for it, and that's what it's installed in their, you know, codes.
Yeah, definitely.
Every time they played that, they're like that, you know. I've never heard David come up on stage and play, okay, it's just another gig, you know. That's not happening, you know.
Yeah. But did you ever return to New York then afterwards? Like
no,
no, really. Oh.
No. Well, there were a couple of times there that it smelled like it's gonna happen, you know. But nah, you know. I mean, it's, you know how it is, you know. It's tough when you're over there. It's tough to get a gig, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
When you're here, it costs so much to just do one gig, you know, to get all those permits and visas and all that stuff, you know. It's it never happened.
Yeah, but Vasil, you mentioned Berkeley, right? I wanted to ask you about Berkeley. How was your experience there? Like, because you were there quite a long time, like 3 years, right? I think, or 4.
Yeah, three. I studied for 3 years, and I stayed for 1 more year in Boston. And then I went to New York for a year.
How was the Berkeley experience like for you? Like, who were your teachers or primary teachers? Like, how was the learning experience?
It was amazing. I mean, Berkeley is really special. I mean, it's not just you know, hear and say. You know, it's not just the fact that you have all those amazing musicians that actually graduated there, you know, The program is amazing. The teachers are amazing, and the students that come there are amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of them are not amazing. Let's not fool ourselves.
It's levels.
But there's this percentage that's just top notch. They're you know, they're already professional musicians almost, you know, and just the fact that you have all these people from all over the world in one place, exchanging ideas and experience and their tradition and cultures. That's, you know, something that you cannot pay for, you know. And then you have these classes with these really experienced and great teachers, and then you have a chance to practically use it, you know, which is the most important part. It's not, you know, if you only go to classes and you practice by yourself, it's a very important part of learning. But if you cannot exchange that with other musicians right away, it would go much slower. This way, I was in 6 months, I knew 50 times more than before I came. You know, it's amazing because you parallelly do these things, and you learn so fast. My teacher was on piano was Ray Santisi. He's not with us anymore, but he's amazing jazz pianist and a teacher. He was teacher of Kid Jarrett and Chick Corea, and he's just, you know, one of those old cats that knows everything, you know. You just ask him and he's gonna tell it to you, you know. And the only weird thing that I remember was I had 30 minutes class once a week. So that was really not a lot of time, you know. You come in, you don't even say hi. You just grab teacher by the throat and give me this, give me that, you know. You don't have time to, you know, waste. But then again, the other great thing is that you have all these different types of music classes that you can take. Because I finished classical music school, so I knew what I don't need. You know, I don't need to go over too much theoretical stuff in terms of traditional harmony and solfege. I tested out of solfege right away, which was amazing. I got credits for a whole semester because it has. Well, that's the traditional school in Serbia, you know.
Yes, everywhere here, Slovenia.
Everyone here. We have really great schools in those in traditional terms of classical music. But you have, you know, film scoring, you have production, you have whatever, all these different ensemble. You know, it's great. You know, I mean, they're huge.
Yeah, it's amazing. But if I just go even before Berkeley, like you know, like on your trio album, like you have so many tunes. Like you play Ahmad the Terrible by Dijonette. I love that song, and you know, Ornette Coleman and Jobim and all these guys. So it seems like, you know, primarily, I guess people, when they hear the band, they talk about Joe Zawinul, let's say, of course, because sound wise, but I think playing wise, you must have been influenced by so many other players. Like, who did you listen to in the beginning? Like, who were like your main piano influences, let's say? Or
well, let's say that the first one was Oscar Peterson.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's something that you know, maybe Monk and Oscar Peterson and those were the guys that I discovered the traditional jazz. But simultaneously I discovered fusion and contemporary jazz. So it wasn't like gradually I started listening to swing and bebop and I was like, oh, you have fusion. It was all in the same time, thanks to my parents and my aunt, who are all musicians and who were famous singers back in Yugoslavia, for those who don't know. at my aunt's place, I discovered Weather Report and Headhunters, Return to Forever, and Pat Metheny and Keith Jarrett, and you know, I didn't know what the hell that was. You know, I was just like, what is this? You know, I've never heard. I listened to Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, whatever before that, and pop music, Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, and so on. And then, you know, I listened to these records. I remember I was 14, something like that. And I really loved the sound of it, but I couldn't understand shit. I didn't understand anything what was going on. And the thing that I'm proud of, that I don't know if these kids today have that because of the times that we live in, is the patience that I have to actually recording on the cassette and listen to it many times.
Rewind,
what's going on, you know?
Yeah,
come on, you're 14, you know what?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I wasn't, you know, an odd 14-year-old. I was just a regular 14-year-old like everyone, you know, teenager. But I really wanted to figure it out, and I listened to it all over and over again. And after, you know that the music that I play and I love today, and you, of course, it's not. Sometimes it's not instantly. You get it. You know.
Definitely.
You give it time. You need to give it space. You need to have patience. You need to be open. You know. And I was all of those things when I was 14, and I'm happy because of it, because that's how I discovered the whole world of music that's called fusion and contemporary jazz, and simultaneously I listened to all of those records and rock music, and not only rock music, funk, hip hop, and all
everything.
So it all influenced me in a way, and I love playing it, you know. And I don't think I would be able to do only one thing, you know. As much as I love jazz, acoustic jazz, for instance, I really love it, and I love to play it. But if you tell me, okay, you have to only do that for the rest of your life, I will be miserable. And in same thing, fusion. If I play only fusion, I would be miserable. So, I, changing it all the time, that's what really makes me happy.
No, I think that's important what you say, all these different influences. You know, we spoke about Binney. I remember the first time I went to New York, and he went to Europe on a tour, and I took care of his cat, you know. I stayed in his apartment in Manhattan, and he's like, yeah, man, just listen to everything, what's there, you know. And I remember he had like Stravinsky, Coltrane, Evan Parker, free stuff, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, you know, it was everywhere. And I was like, damn. You know, like Christina Aguilera, like, yeah, it's good pop, you know, and it's true. Nowadays, you know, I love a really good pop song. I love it. Of
course.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, but at a certain stage,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you think like it's just jazz, but then you see all these great musicians are like, yeah, everything, right? I love
music,
that.
Man. It's music, and that's one of the things that I'm proud of. That I'm able to listen to music without prejudice, you know. I mean, of course there's trash music, and you don't even talk about that, you know. I mean, I'm not that open, you know, to something that it's obviously made only and exclusively for money and for fame, but that's not even in the category of music. But if you talk about music, serious music, then I'm open to whatever, you know, and you can find beautiful music wherever, you know, from whatever style and genre, you know. Doesn't matter. And you can learn and incorporate it in your own music, you know, which is even better.
Now, I think Branford Marsalis once asked that there's like good music and then there's shit, something like that. You know, because you can have like really bad jazz as well, right? Like you can have bad pop and.
Well, that's why I'm always. It's funny to me, you know, when someone says, "I don't listen to jazz," or "I don't like jazz," or "I don't like," you know. I mean, that's such a huge term we're talking about, and so many subgenres and different approaches, and you say you don't like any of it, and I bet if I play, you know, a couple of songs from this guy or that cat or this or that, you will say, well, I like this, you know. Well, that's also jazz, man, you know. It's the same way with rock or prog or pop music, you know. You cannot say it like that, you know. There's so many different ways of approaching it, and of course there's shitty jazz or shitty rock or shitty whatever, you know.
But Vasil, I just want to ask you, like, since we're talking about these kind of beginnings, like, do you remember some of these first jazz concerts that you saw live, like that included improvisation? Like, what were they, if you remember?
Oh, of course I remember. One of the first one was Miles Davis at the Sava Center, which is
seriously?
In Belgrade, 91.
Wow, really? Oh, wow.
That was before, obviously before he died, but the year before he died.
Really?
With Kenny Garrett.
And Adam Holtzman, probably, right?
No, it was this young that back then he was young. Darren Johnson, something like that. I don't never heard of him afterwards. He was on that doo-wop record. He played some keys on that, and I haven't heard of him since then. But I got to jam with him in the hotel Intercontinental right next to the South Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a crazy story, man. I was 17 or something, and I went there with my parents to see Miles. And after the concert, we went to the hotel that was right next to the hall to have a drink. And we stepped into the hall of the hotel, and Miles was there. He was actually staying in that hotel, and I freaked out. I was like, "Oh my God!" You know. And I wanted to approach him, but I was so scared, you know. And it's better that I didn't, you know, knowing Miles. And he just turned around and left, you know. But the band was hanging out in the hall, and the keyboard player, Darren, I think his name is, he was just hanging out, and I started chatting with him. We talked about, you know, Jared Keln concert and Hans Herbie and all of that. And I actually said there was a piano in the hall, and I said, well, I know some of the Keln concert because I listened to it so much that I could play it. And I started playing, and he started jamming over me. And I was just like, oh, wow, I'm playing with the guy who plays with Miles Davis, you know. And in the middle of it, the guy who works at the hotel comes up to us, and they're like, you cannot play the piano. Close the piano. And I'm like, what the, you know? Oh, man. And the guy was, the keyboard player freaked out. He was like, I'm staying in this hotel. I'm playing with Miles. No, you cannot play the piano. You know, the Balkan
strictness in a way, like authority.
There you go, asshole. And he actually stopped us, and we didn't play anymore. But that was amazing experience, and it was one of the first concerts I remember. Michael Brecker was in Belgrade also with Adam Nussbaum and Joey Calderazzo. And,
that's a great.
That was amazing, and one of the first one was Bill Evans. I was maybe 15, and there was some festival that was pop festival, but they had all this thing, and all of a sudden Bill Evans came up, the saxophone player Bill Evans, of course, with Victor Bailey and Jim Beard and this crazy drummer that I don't remember his name. Actually, he told me I played with Bill Evans in Montenegro on this festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Lenny White, man. Vlado Maraš, this friend of mine, keyboard player and composer, he is the director of a jazz festival made in New York, and it's also happening in New York and Montenegro. And he invited Dave Weckl and Mike Stern and all these cats, but played together with the local players and European musicians. So you have like 30 musicians that they exchange. A really cool idea.
Yeah.
And I got to play with Lenny White and Bill Evans, you know, I mean.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow.
So anyways, Bill Evans' band was playing, and that was mind-blowing for me. I was, what the hell is this? Yeah. So those were the first concerts that was.
Yeah, That's cool to remember. Yeah, I always love hearing these things because yeah, it's so much fun. But Vasil, not to take too much of your time, but I just like to ask you about two collaborations that I really love that you did or are doing still. One is with Dušan Jevtović. Like, how did you guys meet? Because he lives in Barcelona already for a long time, and especially that trio with Asaf Sirkis. That's, you know, when I listen to that band, I love the compositions and the openness, but when I listen to your left hand, like what you talked before, it's crazy keeping it up with all that.
I had a lot of practice with Marko and Bato first, you know, and then afterwards with Bace Quartet that I talked about, I also played left hand bass, and then with Dušan, and not only with them, you know, it just happens that I have this role of a bass player. So now I'm actually using a sampled bass that goes through a bass amp. So sometimes you cannot even tell the difference. You know, because just when the band is playing and the frequency are covered up, you know, you know, from a distance you cannot say that there's no bass player on the stage. But with Dušan we met. I don't even remember, but it was so long ago. But I mean, he might live in Barcelona, but he's constantly in Serbia also. You know, he comes from Serbia. So we started playing before the trio with Asaf, and then every time we played together, we had so much fun, and I really love his style and approach, and I love him as he's my really good friend, and there were those sessions that Casa Murada that Munjun is organizing. So Dušan thought of doing this trio with Asaf, and basically he brought ideas straight to the studio. We didn't prepare or rehearse or anything, and his ideas were ideas. You know, he has really strong melodies and harmonies and rhythmic approaches, but not set in stone. How do you say it? You know, it's not like everything is already arranged. You know, so we could do it this or that way or whatever. But the way we felt each other, Asaf, Dušan, and I is just special. You know, it just happens.
Yeah.
Something like that happens with this acoustic trio that I'm doing. You know, I mean, I've never played with Martin and Alec before, and then we go and we record an album in 2 days, and it sounds like we played all our lives together. And now we did 10 years later. We haven't played in between. We had one gig at the Skopje just. We haven't played together, and again we get together and we record 2 days of material.
This is this new album, Melody Rhymes. But I mean, is this already out? The new trio?
It's not out yet, but it's gonna be out soon. I'm gonna put it online maybe in a month or so.
But is it original material you wrote, or again some other tunes?
Some of it is original mine. Some of it is from Tony Kitanovski, the guitar player.
Guitarist. Oh wow! Super.
He's a producer of the album. He was a producer from the last one. But to get back to Dušan, so that's something that inexplicable. You know, you get together first time with Asaf.
Yeah.
You know, don't know the guy. You know, I mean, and it just clicks. The funny story from the recording, I have to say, Dušan is, who doesn't know, Dušan has to see the interview, yours interview with him.
Yeah.
You know, he's a fast guy, man. He talks a lot and he's really funny, and I love him. But the crazy thing was, we were listening to the first song we did, the first take of the first song, and it's a kind of balladish, this thing, you know, it's really sweet and nice. And we're listening to it, and after it finishes, Asaf turns around to us and says, "I don't know, guys, I like it. You know, what do you think? Do you like your solos? You know?" And Dušan is like, solo today, solo tomorrow.
That's a good one.
and that's actually it's a great philosophy. Solo today, solo tomorrow. Who cares about solos?
Just the
big picture is what we're looking for. And the big picture was there, man. It sounds really cool. And we recorded another one. It's in a basement of Dušan. Yeah, we have a completely new album they recorded. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't even know. And it's really crazy, man. It's different from this one. It's even more, I don't know, active or energetic. I don't know what's the word, but it sounds cool. And we did it the same way. It's a little complicated, more complicated, maybe the composition wise, but we also did it in what?
Yeah, like that. So. Yeah.
But we recorded it in Serbia. When I was there. Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful. I love the band. Like, you know, it's really, really burning. Like, you know.
Yeah. And Rastko is an amazing drummer. You know.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Such a beautiful approach, you know, and sound in groove and everything. I love playing with him.
Yeah, he's a great drummer. Vasil, just I mentioned collaborations, and I just want to. I'm doing this for you. We do it. I'm, I'm really looking forward to that, and I will ask him also about this. But how did you guys meet, and how is it for you to play with another piano player? Like, you know, I listen to so many these piano duos. You know, Stefano Bolani, I don't know, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, all these incredible duos. How is your approach to playing duo piano, and especially with Bojan? I mean,
well, I've listened to Bojan's records since I was a kid. Basically, he's a little bit older than me, maybe 5 years older. No, three, whatever. But he started really early. We have a basically same or similar background. We went to same music school. We studied with Draškoci, this amazing bass player, and he went to Paris. I went to the States, and he was always interested in combining Balkan influences with jazz. Yep. I was also. We're completely different in treating it, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's completely different.
Same paths and same interests. You know, we love the same records. We love the same musicians, authors, and so on. But he's a little older, and I remember in '92 when I was playing with Marko and Bato and starting out, he released this album Jopla.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah,
that's an amazing album with Multiculti and all of that. You know, Julian Loro, the amazing sax player, and that's where I was like, wow, you know, you can do this that way. So he influenced me really at an early age. So when he approached me that he wants to do it, that was an honor, man. That was really like, wow, this of course, you know. I mean, so we did. I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 concerts.
Okay.
Belgrade and Serbia, in Bosnia, Banja Luka, and in Paris one. And every time it's so exciting. It's so exciting. He's because we have these different sounds and approaches on pianos.
Yeah.
It sounds so good, you know, like Herbie and Chick, you know. They're you can say that they're similar age and that they have similar approach in music in general, but they're completely different styles. And that's when they play together, it's so amazing. You know, if you have similar musicians, similar pianists or guitarists or whatever, you know, it can be boring. And it's you know, it's not easy because piano by itself is like an orchestra. So
that's why. Yeah,
it's like you're putting 2 orchestras together, you know, and you have to really be careful. And of course, you have to be careful not to ever. I mean, I don't have that problem, and Bojan doesn't also, you know, to slip into into a mode of competition, you know. He played this line, I'm gonna, you know, this or that.
Yeah, exactly. That's dangerous.
No, man, you don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
So so music was always first, and that's why it sounded so good. And I did another duo with Marta.
I saw that. Yeah, recently you played some concerts now, right?
Yeah, and that's completely different because Marta is different.
Yeah.
And Marta is also different from me. So we were all even thinking about having 3 pianos. My wife and my manager thought about it.
Good that you said that.
but it's not going to be easy, especially now. But one day when things are hopefully better, we might do it. Bojan, Marta, and myself. You know.
That would be amazing, man.
So yeah, and we have an album together with Bojan also.
Yeah, live in Tovirac.
Yeah. So it's great, man. It's really great experience, and you know it was easy. You know, once we got together, it just went just like with Dušan and Martin and Alec and all of those kids.
All these guys. Yeah. Cool.
Dr. Jazz. Dr. Jazz.